Hello everyone. I want to especially welcome every one of you to this program titled Curbing the Menace of Rape and Other Forms of Sexual Violence. My name is Miss Ayo Walter Courage. I'm the convener of the Courageous Girls, Women and Children Initiative. And with me here is Mr. Myke Arinze of the Delta Saka. So, rape, as we all know, is one of the most underreported crimes in Nigeria, yet it happens mostly on a daily basis. Everywhere, even throughout during the lockdown, we'll be hearing of rape. A child of 3 months was defiled. So what are the causes? What is the cause? Why do people indulge in this rape? How do we actually curb this vice? This vice, rape is a vice. How do we curb it? No, so we're going to start by first letting the general public know what rape is. So, Mr. Arinze, please, can you just throw some light on it? Let us know what rape actually is. So, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, and wonderful viewers. It's really my pleasure to be on this session. We'll try as much as possible to limit it, to summarize it, because like what Corey said, is a very serious problem and it's been happening in our society unabated. And in the past few weeks, past few months, there has been an upsurge of rape incidents in our society. And no one is actually spared. Let me introduce myself again. My name is Myke Arinze. I work with the Delta State Agency for the Control of AIDS. I'm a gender and relationship expert. I'm also a HIV expert and a trained counselor. So that shows you that at least I have a knowledge of what we want to discuss today. So we'll try and simplify it as much as possible so that we can carry everybody along. The topic is so broad, so it may not be a one-off activity, but as much as possible, the little time we have today, let us see how we can share information so that it will be important to all of us. The topic is curbing the menace of rape and other forms of sexual violence in our society. I want to break it down to 4 sessions, which we want to take very quickly. First, we have to define rape. Then the basic facts about rape that you and I need to know today. It may not be all of it, but to an extent about what we need to know. Then the effect of rape on the victim, we'll look at it. Then finally, how do we curb the rape incidents and other forms of sexual violence in our society. Now, rape, we define it this way, is an unlawful sexual intercourse carried out forcefully or under the threat of injury against the will of the victim. So most times, the rapist does not negotiate. Please, can I do it or will I not do it? Mostly, it comes with threats of violence. Sometimes, after the whole incident, the victim is also killed. We have seen incidents of that. Then also, there are some definitions that come under. You'll be hearing things like gender-based violence, sexual violence, sexual assault. All of them are moving together. But it depends on the seriousness of one against the other. Now, under sexual violence, you may be hearing the words like sexual harassment, verbal abuse, leering looks, forced to watch pornography. Now, under sexual violence, sexual harassment, you see, when somebody is harassed sexually or verbally using unkind words against somebody because of that person's gender, because of how you perceive that person is, then you now begin to use unkind words against that person. It's also another form of sexual assault. Then what we mean by leering looks. In some cases, you see, most times a male, the opposite sex, there's a way you pass and they'll start staring at you. In fact, for you inside, you feel like this person is already undressing you with his looks. That is another form of sexual assault. Then when you force somebody to watch pornography against that person's will, forcing is also out of sexual assault. Then indecent exposure. Like, let me explain what you mean. Like in a room like this, maybe you have some girls there, and the guy maybe under the influence of psychoactive substance, they will now walk in naked just to show you how manly he is against the will of those audience. That's another form of sexual assault. Then unwanted touching, we see this is all the time. Perhaps in a motor park, if you see a young girl who has come to board a vehicle, you see somebody holding up somehow touching the person in a way that that person does not like. It's another form of sexual assault. Now, let us look at the basic facts about rape. Like I said before, rape is not something that you even wish for your own enemy. It is so heinous, it is so uncivilized. In fact, most times they say it is a psychiatric problem. But however it is still happening. So the whole idea of this session is how do we cope this menace that's going on in our society. Now, basic facts about rape. It is a high-risk activity for HIV transmission. You know very well that no rapist comes with condom, and they don't even negotiate sex for you. So most times they do it the way we call skin to skin. And there's a 50-50 chance of HIV transmission because if a rapist has raped somebody today, then if you check the record, he must have raped up to 10 people before that time. He didn't just start today. And most times, if the rapist is infected, there's a 50, there's even the 80-20 chance of HIV infection. Then it is the most underreported incidents, like what Corey said before.
Yeah.
Out of 10 rape incidents, only about 1 is reported.
Yeah.
And moving forward isn't a problem because of social cultural factors that inhibit that. We'll talk about that later. Then over 70% of the time, the assailant, that is the rapist, are known to the victim. What do we mean? It could be somebody who is a neighbor, who has been having some hunch or whatever for that person, that female victim, or has been hearing as that female victim for some time. It could be an uncle who decides to get nasty. It could be a cousin. It could be anybody that's close. So that is why, it's one of the reasons why it is underreported, because when the parents get to know, what they'll say, where could it happen? My name, nothing will hear. No. So most of the time, the rapists are known to, the victim knows the rapist. Then, rape happens anywhere, whether it is in a farm, in the church. We have had the celebrated case of this on the in Benin, right inside the church, not minding the sanctity and holiness of the environment. They just went ahead and did it, believing they would not be caught. They thank God that the law enforcement agencies are doing their job. But how far are they doing it is still another topic of debate. It could be in the office, it could be in the farmland, it could be in the toilet. Maybe a girl that decides she's pressed, if they are living in an environment that's unfriendly, and maybe at night she now goes out to ease herself, then she'll force into the hand of a rapist. And most times, she will not have the courage to report. Now, again, is according to UNICEF report of 2015, UNICEF deals with women and children. That is the area of focus. They say that 1 out of 4 women in Nigeria have experienced rape before the age of 18. These people, they survey, it's not just something you can wish away, because it takes a lot of money, and they're so meticulous in their surveys before they come out with the report. So obviously, we can't wish this away, because people don't speak up. That is why these things keep going on. So 1 out of every 4 female in Nigeria has gone through one form of rape or other, either through a cousin, through even some biological parents, the father, the uncle, the foster father, the father's uncle, or the father's brothers, and all of that. Before, when we still have some degree of morality in the society, there's what we call incest. As a boy, even if your sister or your cousin is naked in the same room with you, you won't have any urge at all, because you know that it's against our norms and values. But now, some young boys will tell you, I beg, all food na food. It doesn't really matter. Yes, and it is so it's really, really bad. Then statistics also show that most vulnerable group for rape are usually between the ages of 12 and 34. These are the most vulnerable. But we still have exceptions, like a woman that goes to farm, maybe she's in her 50s and she runs into the hand of these people, these marauders, and she's raped. So will you say that that person is within the age of 12 and 34? No. So, but these people, this group is the most vulnerable. Then rape sometimes is used as a weapon, as a weapon of war, revenge, or used to settle scores. We have had incidents of this all through the years. They use it as a weapon of revenge. Maybe you feel that this girl, I've been tracking this girl for quite some time, and the girl refused to hear my own. So you now begin to organize how you and your friends, misinformed friends and misguided friends, also will just take on this girl when she's unaware, and the rape is done. Then rape mostly is carried out by men who cannot control their sexual urge or sexual libido. You know, quite unfortunately, there are men that judge the sight of a girl, whether she is scantily dressed or she's properly dressed, they judge the sight of that woman. They can't just control their urge. So if that person happens to, let me use the word they use around, corner you in an unfriendly environment, nothing stops that person. There is no, in fact, it is no hold back. So it is quite unfortunate. Then let us also look at the effect of rape. Because of time, I want us to just rush some of these things that I hope we'll be able to pass some information across that will help us. Even if it doesn't help you directly, you are also a change agent. The information you have is not useless. You can also pass that across your immediate environment and your peers. So let us look at the effect of rape. Most times, body harm is involved. Because like I said before, no rapist negotiates sex. Once they just come under the threat of body violence, and most times they carry out the violence. You see they start the girl all over. So when you are overpowered, the girl is overpowered, and violence is employed. So the girl is no longer talking about what you are going to do to her. It is how can I come out alive from this body? At that particular time, it is not something you can describe, and it's not something that you can wish for your enemy. Also, sexually transmitted infection, there's a high risk, and HIV, like I said before. HIV can be transmitted, sexually transmitted infections can take place. We know a whole lot of STIs, what I call under STI. So those are some of the effects. Then suicidal tendencies. There are some girls that can't take it. Once it happens, it's like, oh, my world has come to an end. Yeah. Let me just give up. Except the trained psychologist or psychosocial expert is engaged, there's a 50-50 chance that girl can take a life. It has happened several times, not only in Nigeria, but within our society, outside climes, it happens. Suicidal tendencies. Now, also depression. You will now discover that the victim most times is withdrawn. That depression is there. Oh, my world has come to an end. And depression says, I know the effect of depression on both the psyche of the person and the physical well-being of that victim. Then withdrawal and isolation. Depression is quite different. The person can withdraw from society. Most times the person wants to stay on his own, on her own. When maybe a family of 5 or 6, you discover that this girl most times just look for an isolated place and withdraw. She hardly talks to anybody. She lives in her own world because of what she has done through her years. Then you begin to have flashbacks and nightmares. What do you mean by flashback? It's like a horror movie that will now keep playing out on that girl's mental well-being. The picture is not something you want to imagine, but one of the effects of rape is that it keeps flashing back on that girl, and the end result is not always the best. Now, the possibility of pregnancy is very, very high. Let me illustrate this further so that we can get what you mean. When the body system, because let me illustrate, if an armed robber comes into a neighborhood, knocks on your door, and starts releasing gun, there's a tendency that the occupants will now begin to have the urge to go to toilet or go to pee, and some will even pee on their body just because there's an intruder. So it happens when rape takes place. But when rape, of course, it's like it doesn't give any warning. Bam! And the assailant has pounced on that person. So your hormone, this, what I'm telling you is as a result of several years of survey. It's nobody's individual opinion. But this is what has, it's something that come out over the years, and the result of the result is what I'm telling you. So when the rape takes place, the body system of the woman changes, hormone will begin to be on the high. So the tendency of getting pregnant is very, very high. We have had situations where a couple, I'm sure we have seen that in Hollywood and all of that, a couple that were believing God for a child for some years, and unfortunately a rapist now came into the house and raped the woman. The same woman that has been believing God for years, the next thing they say she's pregnant. You begin to wonder, how did it happen? But because for that particular period, that moment, that strange moment, her body system has changed and all of that. So high level, high risk of pregnancy is there. Then one of the effects also is guilt and self-blame. You begin to blame yourself. Why did I go to that place at that particular time? If I didn't go, it would not have happened. You begin to blame yourself. Or you say, was it the clothes I used, the clothes I wore? Or was it because I went there alone? Just like that, you begin to blame yourself. That guilt, that self-guilt, you begin to step in. Then stigma, shame, and embarrassment. I was discussing with Courage a few moments ago before we came out here. Stigma is one of the reasons why people don't push rape cases forward, because of how society will view the girl or view the society. So stigma comes in. Then the girl will begin to feel what we call anger, fear, and shock. You are angry at everybody. Oh, why me? Why must it be me? Anger. You begin to hit out at almost everything and everybody. Then that shock will remain there, except organizations will engage a psychiatric person that begin to administer some therapy. And I tell you that if that services are engaged early, the girl will come out of it. Yes. Then again is substance abuse. Most times when these girls, these victims, after some time it's like, oh, my world has crashed. Where am I going forward from here? How will I look at people? How will society look at me? In order to overcome that thing, they begin to engage in substance abuse. What do you call substance abuse? Cocaine, other heroin, crack, all of that. They begin to engage and start smoking weed, marijuana, in order to overcome. But you discover that they are even adding more problem to the problem already now, except somebody comes in to serve the situation. Then again is when rape occurs, what do? We don't pray it happens to you. But if it occurs to somebody, you know. What do? First of all, report immediately to law enforcement. I was in a forum at a point in time and we were debating. Do you go to law enforcement agents first or do you go to hospital first? So the debate reached on and on and on and on. But common sense will tell you that if it happens, the family of the person, the first place to go is to law enforcement agency. But don't waste time there. Let them take their details. They know what to do. They are trained for that. Take their details before you now go to hospital. Because if you go to hospital, if there is a tear or if there are bruises or laceration, the healthcare providers will begin to patch that person up. Clean you up, patch the person up. Then there's what we call PEP, post-exposure prophylaxis. It is the drug you give to people who are living with HIV for viral suppression. So if it's going to be a short time, people who live with HIV, the therapy is for life. But this one is just about 3-4 days, depending on the discretion of the physician. So they'll place you on that so that it will suppress if there's any virus, any HIV that has been transmitted during the act, then the drug will be able to kill it at that point in time. Let me use the word kill, because I'm speaking to people who are not exactly on the same level with us in terms of health and all of that.
Yeah. So
why do we say you have to go to law enforcement first? Because if you go to hospital first, before going to law enforcement, there's what we call circumstantial evidence in law. So if they have tampered with that evidence, if you now go to police and say, I was raped so time, there are some evidence they need to take down. Like, was there blood? But if you clean up the blood, then you have not helped the law enforcement agency. Because they need to take down the details to be able to prosecute the case. Now, you have to report to the closest confidant, the person who is closest to you. It could be your father. Most times, in the family, some girls are closer to their father more than their mother.
Yeah.
Like me, my daughter is closer to me than my wife. So it could be your father, it could be your elder brother, it could be one auntie that you love so much. Report to that person. Don't keep it to yourself. It's important that another person knows. Then, we, as society, we need to share, show care and love for the victims, because it is not their fault that they fell victim to this people. It just happened. So we need to show care so that they will be having that sense of belonging, rather than feeling that they are isolated and the world has come to an end. So the next one we have to discuss is, how do we cope with and other forms of violence? That is the major topic for the day. How do we cope it? Now, first of all is, let me first of all say that in dealing with situations like this, we are not always judgmental. That is, why must you do this? Because you did this, that's why that can happen.
Yeah.
If a girl is dressing scantily, it is her business. It's not an invitation for you to rape. No.
Yes.
If you want to sleep with a woman, I'm sorry to say this, but sex has become so cheap in the country now. You don't need to rape somebody.
Yes.
You sincerely don't need to rape somebody.
Yeah.
But what we need to say is, if you know the environment you are living in, please don't dress scantily. Because rape doesn't give any warning at all. That period you are dressing scantily, one social misfit has been looking at you for days and looking for the period for him to pass on you. So if you get, God has blessed you with wonderful curves, yes, that is the difference between a male and a female.
Yeah.
No matter how handsome a man is, he can never have curves.
Yes.
You can never have curves. Even promiscuity, as much as he's trying, can never have curves. So God has blessed the female folk with curves. That's the feature of your femininity.
Yeah.
And boobs and all of that. Thank God you have them. But don't display them outside by dressing scantily. It could dress like that at home, We are not judgmental anyway, but that's one way for we to prevent it so that it doesn't occur. If it happens, it's not something we wish for an enemy, but let us avoid from happening. Then secondly, try not to visit a suspicious male friend alone. Go with a close friend. This is supposed to be for adolescents, really. Those who are beginning to come up in life. Yeah. If a male friend is inviting you, and you feel that person, you don't trust that person too much, please go with a friend of yours, because it's difficult for the person to rape you in presence of your friend. Even if we have isolated cases, like I said, these are psychiatric problems. They don't make it so easy for the person. Try and go with a trusted friend. Then, study your male partner if he has tendencies of social violence. In the advanced world, once you are up to 12, your parents can advise you, can permit you to start dating. Sometimes 16, sometimes 17, depends on the value system of that society. Nobody is telling you may not have a male friend, but try as much as possible to study that person's personality. In as much as they don't write it on their face, but you'll be able to study the person. Is this person capable of doing this? You know, we have always said that sex is something that should come from your mind. It's not something that must come by raping the person. No. That's why they call it consensual sex, because you are giving your consent. So even a married woman, if she's not in the mood, the husband cannot force the woman. Yeah. That's the standard in other foreign climes. But here in our society, it is the other way around. But yes, the standard is that a girl must give her consent before you have sex with her. So anything outside the consent is rape. So what we are trying to say is that consensual sex is different. The girl must have her consent. If she wants to have sex, it is a decision that she alone can take, not you forcing the girl. No, seduction, seducing a woman is different from rape. Most women, even if they want to yield, no will come. But as a man, you know the tone, you know. You know in the tone whether the no is actually no or the no is permanent, is final. Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is that you don't rape a woman. Sex must come from the inside, from the woman's decision. Yeah. It doesn't matter whether she's an adolescent or a middle age or even an old person, but she must give us consent before sex takes place. Again, do not take alcohol in the company of a male you do not trust, because young girls, yes, want to enjoy life, want to go to ShopRite, want to go to a cool joint to go and unwind mostly by the weekend, and the young man is inviting you out. If it is not somebody you have a relationship with, right? Or when you are not even ready to have sex, sex will come from your mind. So if you go out, don't drink to the extent that you lose consciousness, because there's a high tendency that you will capitalize on that. And when the deed has been done, you begin to regret, why did I do it? Then avoid being alone or too close to a male relation. I know that this one has negotiated so many forums, you know. Yeah. Before now, most rape, that's the truth of the matter, most rape is carried out by uncles, my father's brother. Mm-hmm. There's a case that I came across, although it was not pursued to the latter. Okay. A family that has a female daughter. I think she was 15 or 16 or thereabout. Then the brother of the wife was one that raped the girl. The brother of the wife was one that raped the girl. And nobody was at home when that thing happened. So that girl would have felt that there was no harm in being alone with her nephew. Is that nephew now? Yes. Or her uncle. Her uncle. So there was no, she would not feel any threat that she's alone with her uncle. She would feel at ease until that evil thought entered the guy, and he now went ahead and he raped her, and she was bleeding. That case, I didn't know, I can't tell exactly how it was prosecuted. So, like I said earlier, the value system is changing. Our values are changing in this country. It's unthinkable some years back for your uncle to even see your nakedness. It's quite strange. Yes. But now, our value system has been eroded. It's like anything goes now. Anything goes. So in order for you to avoid that, don't always be alone with a male relation. No matter how harmless it looks, but try as much as possible to avoid that, if you can. Then we must have some degree of behavioral change, shift among sexually active age groups. If a girl, maybe you're the same age group, she girl is 15, you are 18, you know, if that girl respects the girl's choices, she can be with you. If she wants to be with you, go to places with you and all of that, all good and well. If she does not want to have sex, respect her. That is another fundamental things we must address if we are talking about rape. If she does not want to have sex with you, all good and well, sex must come from within. Yeah. So we need this behavioral shift. Yes. We must shift from our value system that, in fact, life is not all about sex.
Yes.
It's not all about. So we need to impact this thing in this generation. It's not all about sex. You can see a woman's nakedness and the woman says she doesn't want. Respect her.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? Respect her. Then again is religious organizations should play a major role in the mindset of the individual. All of us go to church. If you're not a Christian, you go to mosque. Sometimes Christians they spend the whole week in the church, one program on the other, another youth program or choir practice or all of that. So the religious organizations, they owe us a duty to start reshaping the mindset of our youth. The mindset of our youth, so that you now discover that you have respect for the opposite sex, especially the female. I'm not saying that rape does not occur, that women don't rape men, but it's on a very low scale. Yeah. That's why the focus more is on the women. Yeah. So our religious organizations, they need to play a major role. Because if you begin to hammer something into the minds of people on daily basis, on weekly basis, on monthly basis, you begin to have the effect. But if it's a one-off thing, you talk about it this year, they talk about it in 2 years' time, it will not sink in. But if you are hammering it almost every time, you will now discover that you will achieve results. And when you threaten somebody that somebody is going to hell, if that person does that and show the person the picture of hell, and no doubt that person will break down and stop doing what he or she is doing. Then sexuality education should be reinforced among the youth, both in school and out of school. We thank God that I think before now we had this program running in all our schools. It's a national curriculum anyway. Yeah. They call it Family, Life and HIV Education, where both the boys and the girls are taught on the personal hygiene, number one. Then the sexuality, you are a boy, you are a girl, this is your boundary. Then second, and then thirdly, on why you must not force sex on another person. So if these things are reinforced, then the issue of rape will be a thing of the past. Then there should be strict reinforcement of existing laws against rape and sexual violence. What do we mean by this? We have laws in this country, so many of them, but the enforcement is a problem. If there's a rape incident, the law should take its course. No matter whether it is a minor or an adolescent or anybody, even an older man, we have existing laws and take care of that. So we need to reinforce that law. That's why people get away with it. A rapist, to me, should not be spared at all, because you never can tell who that the next victim will be. It could be your own mother, because they don't have, in as much as surveys have said between 12 and 34. Now, an old man of 58 is being raped. Even 60 is being raped. So how can you describe an infant of 3 months or 3 years being raped? So the society is standing on this end now. So we need to reinforce some of these laws. And when you reinforce the laws, I tell you that these people will not go scot-free. Then finally, we need to eradicate stigma and discrimination among the victims of rape. We were discussing before we went on air, myself and Courage, on some cases that had to be withdrawn midway. Why? Number one, fear of stigma and discrimination. Oh, my society, how would they look at my daughter? Yeah. If my daughter is passing the whole community to now the point that they get the raped and all of that. Then secondly, judgmental factor will come in. It's because this guy has been wearing bob shorts all over the place. That is why the rape took place. Number three, blame will be on the parents. You know they take care of your pikin now. You know how you go there for house, somebody can rape your girl. Judgments will begin to come in. So we need to eradicate stigma and discrimination, so that we will now reintegrate them. If you permit me to use the word reintegrate, we need to take them in, show them love, and fight the battle for them, because you never can know who will be the next victim. So we need to take all these things step by step, so that if we adhere to all of this, the society will be a better place for you and I. The incidence of rape will be reduced to the barest minimum. Thank you very much, Courage.
Wow. Thank you so much, Mr. Arinze. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you did justice to this topic. Thank you so much. Like, another thing I want to talk about in curbing this issue of rape is cooperation from parents or guardians of the victims.
Yes.
In Nigeria, or should I say presently, most of the cases we're handling, once we're already in police or even proceeds to the courts, the next thing is the parents will come or the guardians. They said they don't want the case anymore. They have settled and they want the case out of court. So the thing is, the rapist is a monster.
Yes.
And if you don't tame him and you settle out of court, the rapist will go and rape another person. And you may not be lucky, it may even be your mother.
That's true.
Yes. So this issue of settling out of court is a major problem when it comes to handling these rape cases. Please, we'll need your support. Parents, guardians, everyone supports this cause. So we can actually bring this issue of rape and other sexual violence to the barest minimum. For instance, I was sharing with you the case we are handling at Anambra State,
Yes.
where a girl born with a hole in the heart was raped, a 10-year-old girl. We got to know about it on Facebook. Got to know about it on Facebook. We launched into action, and the culprit was apprehended and was transferred to the state CID at Oka. Now, the boy was supposed to be arraigned before the magistrate court at Itije on the 9th of September. They went. They went to the court, and the thing. After some few minutes, we heard that the culprit escaped from court. It's really, really, really sad. We know the police is doing so much, but the Anambra State Police Command, I want to use this opportunity to really address it. You have to do your best to get the culprit out, because that guy out there is a monster. The fact that he can easily escape from court, from police custody, is enough for him to still continue to commit the crime and go cost-free. After all, I can escape from court. Yes, I escaped from court. There was a police and I escaped. I can do anything. That person is a monster. We have to tame that monster. So I'm using this opportunity to call on the Anambra State Police Command. I'm even calling on the IG. Anyhow you can do it. You have to get the culprit apprehended. That boy is supposed to be behind bars. Yes, that boy is supposed to be behind bars. On the 9th of December, it's going to make it 3 months. 3 months that the boy escaped from court. Please, I know the police, you're doing so well. And we appreciate the fact that you're working, but you need to do more. Nobody is really degrading what you're doing or the effort you have put in, even concerning this case. But you have to do more. That boy is not supposed to be out there because it's going to cause more harm. That person has the tendency of even killing somebody like that. Please, you have to help. So, the strict enforcement of existing laws, yes. You spoke about it, yes. Yes, it's really, really a very good one. The law enforcement agency, they are supposed to adhere and execute, those laws strictly. It's not a case of let us settle now, Ghana, we be family. No, the law enforcement agency, even if no matter what the people come with, do your work. Because when you do your work, you're restoring sanity back to the society. Rape as a vice, it has a lot of negative effects on the victim. People tend to underrate it. It's not just rape, but the rape can lead the young girl into depression.
Yeah, to depression.
Like you talked about flashbacks.
Yeah, flashback.
Yes. the little girl, the one I was telling you about, the 10-year-old girl. When we went for the first session with the girl, with a psychologist and a counselor, we went to Okuzu to visit the family. The mother was telling me she would just wake up from her sleep and scream. Yes, she would just scream. What she said is
flashback and nightmares.
Yes, yes. What she just said, she would just wake up and start screaming. When she said I knew what it was, I said yes. Yeah, we have to really work on her. So after the entire session with the girl, we started an online session. I would call almost every day. We're calling to talk to her. Because she's my baby. So there are some words I started telling her, to even to rebuild her self-esteem. Yes. Because rape has a way of, bringing your self-esteem to zero. Yes. Yeah, so I told the mom, I said, you don't need to be harsh on your daughter. If you're harsh on her, I'm going to have issues with you, no matter what she does. If you want to correct her with love. Yes. Because at this moment, at a particular point of her life, you need to, she needs to properly heal. And no matter what she does as a young girl, even in school, if her grades are not too good, don't use some words on her. Yes, don't use some words on her because you're going to add more injury to it if you actually start saying some kind of things to her. So, Mr. Arinze, I really want to appreciate you. You did justice to this entire topic.
I really need to add another aspect.
Okay.
All hands must be on deck.
Yes.
To bring the culprits to their knees.
Yes.
I've seen a situation where they were prosecuting a rape case.
Okay.
Do you know that the family of the rapist had to go and meet the chief of the parents of the town of the family of the rape person? The chief had to call the father of the victim and say, you see, this thing we won't do so, so better withdraw it. And out of fear of intimidation, the family had to withdraw it. So we don't need to go to that extent. We all hands must be on. Any rapist must be allowed to stew in their Jew, right? They must be brought to their knees. They must be forced to face the law. So for you not to, even religious organization, they can go to your pastor and say, Pastor, again, you see this matter, just talk to this woman and her husband. No. You see, and the pastor will just give in on that pressure. There is
one we are handling right now. The man is a 54-year-old man. He defiled a girl of 12 years old. The man, the pastor to the victim went to start begging the victim's family. So the mother said, the case is not with me again. No. Look at the human rights handling the case. It's with the police. It is not with me. So they now looked for the chapter head of our organization in Warri. So they went to the woman. The pastor said, you are the only one that can talk to the ones in Asaba. So I'm just looking, a whole pastor. If your daughter were raped, will you take it lightly? Another thing you talked about is this chiefs thing and all that, this traditional heads. Yes. There is a rape case that happened around Ashaka. So we got to know about it. The elder sister, she's about 33, and the girl that was raped is 11. See, that's the only sister. Look at the age, the difference. Yes, she called me. She said, "Oh, my sister." I said, "Oh, don't worry. This is what you do. Don't clean her up. Just take her straight to the police station, report. Then she will take it for a medical examination, which they did." She called me. The young girl of 11 years old was raped by 3. The first one has had the stone. The second one, the third one was in the midst. Yes, when they were caught. Now the chief, the community, one of the community people now came and said no, that the way it is, they can settle. I told them, stay your ground, allow this law enforcement agents to do their work, because if you cooperate with them, you are actually you are feeding this rape, this vice. You're feeding it, and it will continue to be on the increase. So they ask, first of all, they threaten that, okay, then if people will not listen to the vigilante, this thing, you will have to leave our community, many things.
To that extent?
Yes. After some time, do you know that she stopped calling me? I called, I was just, because I already contacted my people at headquarters here, police headquarters. What? She stopped calling me and all that. When she just stopped, I called, she didn't take her calls. I realized they've given in. Yes, they've given in. Maybe the threat of you are going to leave my community and all that. So how are we going to curb this when even the traditional heads, the people that are supposed to even protect
and enforce
the law are the ones saying we can settle now, it's between us. Let's settle. Because the next thing, when you don't hear rape, the next thing is let's settle. There was a case I was handling here. I was busy up and down doing everything. The next thing is they called me. Somebody else called me. Say, where are you? I said, I'm in the States here. He said, just go. You are there running up and down. They are here negotiating. The family say 500,000. The family of the company said, okay, let's give you 350. Say, no, you must give her 500,000. Can you imagine? For your daughter. I don't know. Should we say it's hunger or what? What do you think is what do people?
Yes, you are not completely out of range. It's hunger, but it's not justified.
Yes.
It's not justified. It's hunger. The remote cause is hunger first, because it is not justified because without the 350,
yes,
they have been living.
They've been living.
They have been living. So the 350 won't make any difference. Now, secondly, is I think it's societal decay.
Yes.
Our values. We don't. Some years ago, a rapist is killed in the community.
Yes.
He's hanged in the village square. People have seen that this rapist is killed. But now a rapist can commit a crime now, taken to the police station. After 2 days, released. The same person will be walking around and see nothing has happened.
The same day, sir.
I'm just trying to so that I can just give some allowance. He's released. He's walking around and he's even looking for the next victim.
Yes. So
we really need to come together as a global community to tackle this incident of rape. Now, I left it out when I was giving my talk.
Okay.
Yes. For some time now, there has been an upsurge of rape, especially during the lockdown. If I tell you the statistics,
yes,
but the statistics have been updated, so I don't have the correct figure now. But it was really on the rise during the lockdown. On the rise, complete rise. So you begin to wonder, are there caged animals and now decided they have to unleash on victims? Even girls of 5 years, 3 years are not spared.
3 months.
3 months are not spared. So what is the problem? We need to come together and address, because you don't know who is going to be the next victim.
Yes.
And one of the effects of rape, because of time I didn't go into that, rape can lead to frigidity. Yes. You understand?
Yes.
A woman won't have that sexual urge again. No matter how she loves the partner, there's always something holding her back, you know. And her sexuality is also questioned because she can never give her best in bed, even when she's married. The husband will now begin to struggle. What's really happened? And most victims don't open to their husband that at some point in time, I was raped.
Yes,
no, they will never.
No.
So the husband will cracking head. What is the problem? Why is my wife frigid in bed? It leads to that. Every time the man comes near her, that image, that flashback will just be coming. So rape is something we need to come together as a global community. Tackle it. Doesn't matter whether the person is the son of a prominent person in society, and a religious leader, a community leader, or even a politician. So we need to make them pay, because if you leave them off the hook, they are looking for the next victim.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. We truly appreciate you. Did justice to this topic, and I believe viewers out there, they've learned so much from this topic. So we appreciate you. So to our viewers, thank you for sharing your time with us, and we believe you've learned so much. Remember, always speak out. Speak out, don't keep it to yourself. If you feel you cannot talk to your parents because your parents are so strict, look for someone you can confide in. Somebody that is not so hard on you. Talk to the person about it. Talk to the person about it. Just be careful. So thank you so much for being with us. And we also let us all appreciate Mr. Arinze. Thank you, Mr. Arinze.
You're welcome.
We appreciate you so much. Yeah, thank you. So have a great day, everyone. All right, bye.